Hello everyone, this is Trevor and welcome to Design Twist. Today I'm going to be designing 5 new Mega Pokemon, and when I was trying to pick which ones to design, I realized that my list could stretch on into the hundreds. I could design a Mega for every Pokemon that exists, so instead of just making one video, I thought why not make this a series where I tackle each region one by one and start with Kanto. I did take quite a big hiatus on my channel this summer. I was working on some stuff that needed a lot of my time, and I had to create a new strategy for how I wanted to approach making videos and being a YouTube content creator in general, but I feel like I have a pretty good plan and I'm going to be making at least one video a week from here on out. So if you're still around, thank you so much, and let's get started. There are some Pokemon here that are kind of forgotten about, some that don't get a whole lot of love, and I definitely got to throw in one of my favorite Pokemon as well. So for my first design, I chose to go with Arbok. Looking back, I was just surprised at how Arbok has received absolutely nothing in terms of new forms, evolutions, regional variants, things like that. Arbok is so cool and it's so iconic because of the anime as well. I wanted to really give it a glow up and give the Arbok fans something to get hype about. So here's my design. I started out struggling a little bit trying to figure out how to improve the shape of a snake. Evolution definitely cooked when it was designing snakes, but it didn't leave much room for adding additional things. But I think I came up with a pretty cool idea. So within Arbok's Pokedex entry, it says that the face on its hood is used to intimidate prey. So I thought this is the element of Arbok that is iconic. It's the big face. So I need to take the big face and push it to its logical extreme. I was surprised at how difficult it is to draw a snake. Not just like the reptilian anatomy of like the face, but just taking a tube and making it look like it's resting on the floor comfortably. I messed around with the sketch a little bit to make it look nice, but as it is, Arbok's design is pretty much just like a lot of the original 150 or early Pokemon designs. It is just the shape of a snake. So I tapped into the idea of a feathered serpent and thought of giving it these feathers over parts of its body. They mainly ended up on the tail and on the face, but I think it does a pretty cool job of almost masking the snake head of Arbok so that you can focus on the expressive, scary face that it's known for. And I added the third eye on the forehead to kind of give it an extra extension of the face that it already uses to intimidate people. And it almost implies that even if prey were to notice the snake head, it would still be dazzled by a third unexpected eye. I think that's pretty cool. As far as moves are concerned, I think specifically for Arbok, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think this thing needs all of the elemental bites. It needs Intimidate, because, you know, give me Mega Intimidate as an ability. Let me lower your attack by 5 stages. Or we work the attack Glare into the ability. So not only does it lower your attack by 2 stages when it comes out as Arbok, when it Mega Evolves, it immediately paralyzes the opponent. I don't care if it's balanced, it's cool. Next up is Kabutops, one of the original fossil Pokemon from Kanto. It's based on a trilobite and a horseshoe crab, just kind of this little flat, crawly creature, but surprisingly its evolution stands on 2 legs. The designers definitely double dipped in making Pokemon with blades for hands, but I'm not complaining because that's cool. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in the design process, Scyther and Kabutops were supposed to be part of the same line, but they made one a mantis instead and made the other one a fossil. Who knows? So for this design, as you can see, I'm really upping the monster aspect of Kabutops. I made it a quadruped again, but it keeps the blade arms, which I feel like is extra scary. It gives it more of a bug-like state, but it also stays true to its, river crawling aspect. It was fun to play with the visual language of like the exoskeleton on this creature. I like that it's rock water. I think all the fossil Pokemon are rock, which is fun, but this one really does feel like it would feel like a rock if you touched it. I can imagine that this evolution would be the glass cannon of all glass cannons. I mean, this thing should probably have like a 170 base attack, but fold to pretty much anything that hits it. It is spindly, it is scary, but it's a quadrupedal rock monster with blade arms. What could you possibly put on this thing to give it a higher attack? I could put a mouth on it, a big open jaw, but no, I think the arms are enough, and spikes all over its back. It definitely makes this thing feel as scary as it could possibly be. I wanted to hit this thing with a combination of elegant curvy lines as well as dangerous spikes. It helps it feel like it is a hunter, but also that it is accustomed to traveling through the water, or at least traveling quickly. In the same way that water would erode rocks over time, this creature would evolve to have an extremely aerodynamic shape to it. I think for the moves and abilities, this one also is one that you keep simple. I don't know if I'd want to change off of Swift Swim and Weak Armor. It just fits this Pokemon so well. Being extremely fast, hitting extremely hard, having no defense. Kabutops actually has a good defense, and I think this might be one of those instances where the stat should lower when it Mega Evolves, because it's going to do everything else so much better that I don't think it needs the defense anymore. But I don't want to take the easy way out and just keep this thing exactly the same and just mess with its stats. I want to work the low defense into a signature attack. Maybe something like Rollout, where it hits multiple times, but every time you hit, your attack goes up and your defense goes down every turn. So it's stronger and stronger each time, but you also become easier to kill. That would also behoove us to give this thing a very high defense stat. So as it hunts, it becomes easier to kill, which suitably explains why this creature went extinct. Next up is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Parasect. I actually have an entire video where I overthink and yap about Paras and Parasect for a really long time. I'll put it in the description and in the card above. And I suppose this is the perfect time to say, hey, if you like this video so far, hit me with a like. And if you want to see more like this, subscribe. But moving on to Parasect. I've always been fascinated by this Pokemon. There's a bit of morbidity to the fact that the mushroom has taken over its body. And of course, as I got older, I learned about the actual fungus that does this to insects. So basing a Pokemon off of that is really cool. It's such a cool idea to be used on this practically unusable little guy that I find very cute, but it has such a tragic story that it's hard to really get into. So apparently Paras is based off of a cicada. Because of the big mushroom on the back of the Parasect, it kind of makes people think of a big old coconut crab. So it has a bit of a crustacean vibe to it. But since it's bug grass, I'm definitely leaning more insect with its origins. I also picked up on the fact that Paras's mushrooms on its back kind of are in the place where wings would come out of. So maybe Paras is a Pokemon that had wings, or that should have had wings, if its entire reproductive cycle didn't get taken over by spreading spores and growing mushrooms throughout its life. So the main pitch for this design is a fast Parasect that uses its wings on its back to propel itself. The wings that it should have had have now grown through the mushroom that's on its back, and it's able to maybe not fly, but crawl around very quickly and hunt and eat, which could actually be the evolutionary goal of the mushroom on the back of the Parasect. To fully manifest and take over all of the functions of this creature, but so far, without the mega evolution, without that power, it's only been able to take over a wingless version of this creature. Now we can see what the mushroom would do to hunt and survive and forage with the ability to access the wings as well.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing! I can't believe it.
I really didn't want to go crazy with the colors on this one either. The shape language for me kind of carries this one. The fun feet that it's walking on, the mushroom kind of swoops back to give it more of an aerodynamic feel. The wings are based off of a cicada's wings. But the fun part was the pattern on the mushroom. I wanted to take the dots that start on Paras as just little clumps, and then on Parasect turn into these little kind of concentric, rounded rectangles that go around its body, and push that into making it look like it's moving quickly. It kind of gives that speedy feel. I'm not totally married to the color scheme, so if you have better ideas for what color this thing should be, or another way I could bring a cool splash of color into this design, please leave it in the comments. I mean, not just that, leave a comment about anything you think is cool in this video, or an idea that you have, or something that you want to share, or something that could have been done differently. Throw it in the comments. And it definitely helps, seeing as I'm coming back to YouTube after a long time. Next up is Misty's iconic Pokemon, Starmie. For Starmie, I want to... Wait, hold on, what? You said there's a mega... No, hold on, let me Google this. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Hold on one moment. I'm going to pause the recording. Yeah, I just called Miyamoto, and he put me on with Satoshi Tajiri. He linked me over to Kin Sugimori. I talked to Shakira. None of them have heard of this. I've never heard of it. I can't find it on Google anywhere. I don't know. Maybe it's my safe search setting. I don't know. But Starmie's super cool. I don't know why it doesn't have a mega, so I decided to make one. Well, all jokes aside, I was looking at Starmie, and I just had such a cool idea for a mega that's unlike any other mega out there. I had to do this one. And I'm just going to put this out there. If you've never read Starmie's Pokedex data, it is unhinged. It starts off as just like, okay, this is a starfish. It has a gem in its center. It's called its core. Okay, cool. In Diamond and Pearl, it's like, it sends out mysterious radio signals into space. I'm like, okay, what? And then later it's like, oh yeah, when people get near it, they get headaches because it's sending signals that are incomprehensible into outer space. Okay, what does that mean? Then in Legend ZA, it's like, it moves like a person. Hopefully it's not to supplant humanity. Like, what is it? Okay? What? Okay, we're going to ignore all that. My Starmie evolution, my Mega Starmie, has replaced its gem core with the Starmieite. Like there was a chemical reaction where its own core took on the properties of a Starmieite. So perhaps the radio signals and the psychic powers and the headaches and the supplanting humanity thing in Starmie's lore is about Starmie trying to figure out what its purpose is as a creature. So when the Starmieite reacts with the core, I'm monologuing again, but it's okay. I'm talking about my lore. Don't worry about it. The Starmieite becomes what powers the Starmie, and its own goals start to align with that of the Starmieite. So it becomes a support item designed to make another thing stronger. And this thing's ability, or how it manifests itself in battle, is going to be completely unlike any other Megaform or Pokemon. I'm completely breaking the rules of the game to do this. Just let me cook. So when Starmie Mega Evolves, you send out another Pokemon in your party, and Starmie floats behind it and randomly casts support moves that alter your Pokemon stats or decrease the defending Pokemon stats. If one of your Pokemon is knocked out, Mega Starmie will cast Reflect or Light Screen or something like that before you send out your next Pokemon to make sure your team is protected and supported. If you've played League of Legends, think about Yumi. So as far as the art is concerned, since I was super distracted talking about the idea, I wanted to make Starmie, who is basically just one solid color and a shape, into this kaleidoscopic psychedelic thing. It has elements of 1970s, it has elements of 90s color scheme. I kept referring to it as my Taco Bell Starmie when I was talking to my friends. I don't think it's exactly 90s Taco Bell colors, but that's just what it was giving me. Something about this exact color scheme here just feels so good to look at for me. And if I were to make this as a 3D model, I think I'd want an opalescent kind of sheen on it so it changes colors depending on what direction you're looking at it. I can't really depict that in an unmoving 2D image, but a color shifting texture would look so dope on this thing. Somebody make that happen, please. And yeah, no shade to the original Mega Starmie design or people who like it. It's not my favorite, and thinking about Starmie immediately gave me this idea, and I'm like, I don't care if it has a Mega. I think people will appreciate this idea anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it. But we're moving on to our final Pokemon. I wouldn't just leave you hanging on a Pokemon that already has a Mega, so we're going to do one Pokemon that's gotten basically zero love, and I'm super excited about my design for it. Jinx is a Pokemon that desperately needs to be cooler. And the other 4 Pokemon on this list maybe don't have that same level of desperation, but Jinx is just, if you're a Jinx fan, you're in the trenches. You've seen Electivire and Magmortar go by, you've seen Pinsir get a Mega, you just saw Mr. Rhyme, and you haven't gotten anything since Smoochum. I'm so sorry. Now for the Jinx haters and detractors out there, maybe I can change your mind. Let's make a cool Jinx. So when you're talking about Jinx, it's kind of inevitable that you will eventually touch on the controversy with her design originally. Giving her a jet black face with big lips is immediately going to tap into this like racial stereotype, Mr. Popo kind of look that is not that appealing to anybody. So they changed her to purple, And I don't know if that really helped them want to push and promote more Jinx-related things, so she's kind of just faded into obscurity for a really long time. But I've always thought this Pokemon has had kind of an opera singer vibe to her. She's got a full head of hair and like that Valkyrie breastplate sort of deal going on. I believe in the anime and in Pokemon Stadium she has feet, but in the game she canonically does not have feet. So under the dress, is she just like a weird floating ghastly entity? We don't really know what's going on with Jinx. But the Psychic type is definitely a choice. Ice Psychic is a really cool type combination, so I wanted to make Jinx into a dazzling, powerful diva with awesome shape language that's just fun to look at and would be really cool to pop off with in the game. I latched onto this funky, bouncy rhythm in the hair as I move forward with this that I started to really like. The wispy spiral shape of the dress also seemed interesting to me, since Jinx's dress in her current design is really just this amorphous shape. And if you look at her 3D model, she has these two little spikes that come off the sides of her legs, quote unquote. And I don't really know if that's like a mistranslation of the pixel art when it got put into 3D. You can't really mistranslate it when you're the company making the model, but it's still like a weird design element of Jinx that I've never really noticed or understood. But I culled the parts that I didn't like and enhanced the parts that I did like, and I think I've created a pretty cool idea for Mega Jinx. I thought about this thing having ice face, but I'll let that one go. I think this should be bringing in some kind of effect like Psychic Surge or Snow Warning when you Mega Evolve. Maybe Prankster if you wanted to focus on stuff like sleep and screens, status effects. But in general, I think Jinx just needs a cool form with higher stats, maybe a custom move like Ice Kiss, where she blows like an ice kiss made of lipstick that freezes you and attracts you or something like that. Because Attract really doesn't have that much use in competitive. Or maybe Ice Kiss could be a damaging ice type move that has an effect like Yawn, but with freeze, where once she kisses you 2 turns later you'll freeze unless you switch out. But either way, the colors here just came together so well. It's so vibrant, and the red, yellow, sky blue combination of primary colors is just so eye-catching. I ended up really liking this one. It is so fun to design Mega Pokemon or regional variants, things like that. Pokemon really is just a treasure trove of 1,000 interesting little creatures that's fun to put your own twist on, and really that's the whole point of this channel. I'm happy to be back on YouTube after a super long time, and I'm ready to get back to consistent videos. In my very next video, I'm going to be doing the same thing but with Johto Pokemon, so look forward to that, and I have a Persona and a Deltarune video planned that I'm going to get to as well. If you watched this much of the video, you must have been having fun. I'm glad you liked it. I'll be doing videos like this all the time. It might not always be Pokemon, because I do like Pokemon. I'm not super caught up with the games, but I can't stop making videos of this goofy franchise. I have so much nostalgia for it. It's so fun. But I also really like One Piece, Deltarune, Persona, maybe a little Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh!, Hollow Knight. I have a lot of interest, and this channel is definitely an outlet for me to be able to do some illustrations within each of the fandoms that I like. And I'm also open for commissions. I do YouTube thumbnails. I sell stuff on Etsy. You can see all that stuff in my Linktree link in my bio. But yeah, that's about it for now. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for watching. Peace.